My name is Jay Morris. I am the Director of Business Development for Spectrotel, a fancy term for TCG's channel manager. Been in telecom since the mid-'80s. Just a little bit about me, cut my teeth, Manhattan, MCI, selling dialers on the wall and T1s. That's how far I go back. Then I began my product development career and my career in the indirect channel in the late 80s as MCI was beginning to launch the first kind of agency programs as we know them today. I started with the Amway program, flying all over the country, pitching hundreds of thousands of golds, diamonds, and platinums on selling MCI small business and residential, to the first deal that we ever did for a full-blown agency program as we know them today with a company called Executone, which was headquartered back then out of Connecticut. So I've been doing this a long time, pretty much been in the indirect channel my entire career. So I love it, and again, now I work for a company that again is exclusively focused selling through the indirect channel. We don't have any direct salespeople on the street. So without any further ado, I won't bore you with all the slides and all the transitions. We would be here for a couple hours, but just a little bit about us. Founded in '96. We are celebrating, a couple of months ago, we celebrated our 20th anniversary. We're headquartered in Neptune, New Jersey. 24/7, 365 company, from customer service center to the NOC, which is all based here in the US. We are profitable and we're debt-free. We don't owe anybody any money. All of our growth has been internal. We don't acquire companies. All our growth has been through, been traditionally over double-digit growth for the past 15 years. About 30,000 customers nationwide, 30,000 unique customers nationwide. Well known for our customer care, our customer touch, and our project management. And project management because most of the customers, most of the revenue that we bring onto the company is small, medium, large, multi-location accounts that have locations everywhere. And they need a lot of different products, and they're looking for a single body to hug or a single throat to choke, depending on how you look at it. The most complete and diverse product line, I think, in the industry. We'll give you an example of that as we go through it. And in 2014-15, I hope to have enough time to spend just a couple of minutes, take you into the portal and show you why we won the award for 2014-2015 Best Industry Portal. So this is our motto. We make it simple. We keep it personal. We try to reduce the amount of gas that customers and partners have to burn to bring customers on, to do a good job on the project management side, and then also to keep it very personal, to keep that relationship very close to the customer so that we can obviously grow and retain that customer as we move forward. Very sophisticated back office systems. The one thing I want to talk about our portal, I'll just mention it now. It is homogenized into our BSS and our OSS systems. This isn't a $20,000 piece of temp software we hung on the wall, attached a bunch of APIs to it, and hopefully we update it every day and make sure that it works. This is completely homegrown. There's millions of dollars invested in our OSS and BSS systems, of which the portal is a part of. Later on this year, we're going to be announcing a really cool app that you'll be able to get in the App Store and the Android store as well, to be able to see things that are going on with your account as a customer. Very flexible billing system. If we get a chance, we'll pull a billing report, but essentially, as you may have experienced, sometimes when you pull billing reports, it's missing data, it's missing the surcharges, it's missing the junk fees. You got to pull one report, marry it to another report, and make it all work. We give you the easiest reports that your customer will ever want, and the simplest to quote against us, because we expose every fee and every charge that we charge on our bills. So when you get our quotes, there's never a surprise you're going to get a junk fee that you weren't told about. When a customer gets a bill, they're always going to get the bill that they saw on the quote. So all of the charges add up, other than the local, municipal, and E911 taxes that can't be determined until it actually feeds into a billing system and is driven by zip code. Self-service enterprise portal. We don't have a lot of customers that self-service. Some do, put a ticket through it, view their inventory, get their reports and things like that. But most of the day-to-day things that customers want, particularly if they're over 10K, they go to a group called the Spotlight Group and they have a single point of contact. They call one person. It doesn't matter what that question is, a billing question, a service question, a ticket question, a repair question, an install question, they go and hunt it down for them so they don't have to make 5 phone calls. That said, we also provide a lot of information in the portal. Should that individual not be available, you actually will know the email address and the phone number of the person that owns a ticket, owns an order, owns something that's going on in the account, and we'll show that to you. We keep our promises. I think one thing that we're very proud of is we've been doing this for 20 years in the indirect channel. We have never fired an agent in our entire history. We have never nixed an agreement. We have never acquired a company and stuck it to that company because we didn't, quote unquote, materially buy all of the assets of that company, so therefore we're not obligated to follow through on the terms and conditions that the original company had promised that partner. So it's all too familiar to all of us in this industry. It happens all the time, but you can ask around, you can talk to people in the industry. I know that the whole team at TCG did quite a bit of due diligence, and you can rest assured that with SpectraTel, your revenue is safe, your commissions are safe, we pay in perpetuity. The agreement's been blessed by Ben Bronson. It was the only agreement that stood up during a well-known suit that happened in the industry against a carrier and a large agent out of Kentucky. It was the only agreement that stood up that went up against them. So it's very important, and we're very proud of that. Proactive escalations on the Spotlight side, as well as the regular account side, and then the Spotlight program, as I mentioned, has a single point of contact. So this is a suite of services. Way too long to get into every one, but essentially you have to think of us more like the target of telecom. We have pretty much everything that you would ever want, over 120 cable co-agreements around the country. And I'll mention this while I'm on that topic of cable co. If you have a single location and you're not looking to put SIP on top of it, 2 POTS lines with it, this product with it, something else with it, and put it all on one bill, if you're just looking for a Comcast, a Charter, a Suddenlink type circuit, you're probably not going to come to me. You're going to go through your traditional agency agreement with TCG. They're going to place that order for you, and you're going to order that direct because you really don't need me for it. I don't know about everyone in the industry, but to my knowledge, nobody actually sells the consolidation of cable co at the exact same retail rates that the cable co does. We all mark it up because most of them don't have true agency programs, true wholesale programs. They have agency programs and quasi-type wholesale programs, which we subscribe to all of them. If we have that type of situation and we know it's a large account, typically what we'll do is we'll go ahead and qualify all the backup right up front. So we'll know every place that's lit for UVerse, that you can take to the bank, and everything that's on FiOS, that you can take to the bank, unlike cable, okay, or 99% to the bank. So traditionally, if you want a full-blown quote, we'll do cable co, it's soft qualified or it's just priced, every place that qualifies for UVerse and every place that qualifies for FiOS. And then if we want to go to another level, we can go DSL. And of course, we can do wireless everywhere. Yes, sir.
Customer going to posted wood. 2 questions. One, are you providing the equipment, the phones?
Yes.
No question.
Well, there's an MRC associated with the cost. A typical phone is, the average phone, Mitel, Polycom, Astra, $5 a month.
Okay. And if a customer has their own phones?
Fine, we'll turn it up. Yep, no problem. Yeah, I mean, it's very popular for us to do this sort of, one reason I think we've been successful in this space is because we take the customer from cradle to grave. They now have a plan for moving to IP. Those plans are increasing because bandwidth has driven the end user customer down to a 3 or 4 line location now becomes a real candidate for an ROI on moving to a hosted platform or moving to a SIP solution. 2-3 years ago, when cable was not as available or not as good, or the QoS was much worse, people were still waiting, and it had to be 6, 7, 8 lines, to sort of make the ROI. So we make the case of, listen, let's sit down with you, let's develop an engineering plan around your migration to SIP. The first step is we're going to take over all the POTS. Why are we going to do that? Because you don't want to deal with the pain on the back end, Mr. Customer, of porting your lines to a SIP solution and then having to go back and call every carrier on every line every time you disconnect it, because CLEX and many times ILEX will not stop the billing when the line gets removed. So the customer, 6 months into the project, has got tens of thousands of dollars in double billing that they've had to eat. The partner looks bad, the carrier looks bad. Yes, it might be an agreement, we're not responsible for it. If that's the, if we're taking it over from somebody else, it's your responsibility, Mr. Customer, to call your old carrier and tell them that you moved that line but possibly left one. So what we do is we try to convince the customer to take it on to us now, because that way you have that single body to hug from the project, for the entire project management of this. When the line gets moved to SIP, your billing's automatically going to stop, because the POTS was on us. We're not going to bill for the same number twice or the same service twice. We're going to make sure the line is left behind properly, okay, for your fax or your alarm or your elevator, whatever the case may be, your POS system, and so forth. So it removes a lot of pain and a lot of gas that the customer typically has to burn on a move from TDM technology to IP. So all the device configuration, all the device warranty and maintenance, administration, change management, firewall security updates, all the VPN IP secking, the monitoring and platinum monitoring. And with platinum monitoring, we're talking about a full SolarWinds license. So some customers are already paying for SolarWinds. They can throw that license out as soon as they're done with it. They've moved it to us. They don't have to pay that $20 or $30, whatever $1,000 upgrade they have to, software upgrade they have to pay every several years to keep that system up and running. Our solution comes with a full-blown SolarWinds license with everything that they would get on their own. Pull up a map, see every location. Drill down into each location, see all the scoring that they want to see. I'm sorry?
Do you provide service in Puerto Rico?
Yes. Yeah. Including cable as well, Puerto Rico. And Virgin Islands and all of Canada. So, all the rest of the slides start to drill down to, each one, what's included, all of these sorts of things. I'm going to be leaving business cards with everybody. Send me an email. I will send you a copy of this deck, and actually I have one that drills down even deeper on each configuration. So this goes through the support, and then all the network management. This is sort of SolarWinds Lite right here. And then the enterprise portal, which I'm going to show you here real quick, all the CPE equipment that we'll provide. As I said, there's really nothing that we won't put on the network as long as we run it through SpectraTel Labs. As long as it's sat with the engineers and they've tested it on the network for typically several weeks, and we feel comfortable putting it on or mixing it in with other gear or systems that we have, and as long as they've signed off on it, we'll put it out there. But we don't put anything on the network that we haven't tested first. Of course, we'll do Wi-Fi as well for a customer if they've got, if they want to segment their firewall for commercial traffic or their own personal traffic, and then customer or visitor traffic. We'll segment that traffic. We'll create the splash page for them and so forth and manage it. All the device administration. And again, like I said, I won't get into this. But again, this is another thing that customers don't always realize. They buy a piece of $1,000 gear. They don't realize in 2 years it's going to cost them $500 to renew that license for that piece of gear. Right? It's included with us. You're never going to get a bill for an upgrade or a software or a maintenance item on a fully managed network that we're managing. Again, I'll provide all this, but I want to get to, I do want to show you the portal real quick, and I want to get to one slide, give you an idea. Spotlight program, dedicated manager. We are sort of changing it right now a little bit. I don't have all the details on it. We're going to move it into 3 different levels within Spotlight just because of, sort of our growth, which is a $10,000 account, a $25,000 account, and a $100,000 a month biller. Takes you through a little bit of the project management of what we look for, all the moving pieces that we have when we do a multi-location account. Everything can be tracked in the portal, but we also have a team lead that is the lead project manager on the project, and they work typically with spreadsheets, and those spreadsheets are shared back and forth between the customer and their teams from daily to weekly to monthly, depending on the project. So just a little bit of a recap. Most underlying broadband carriers in North America, most POTS agreements nationwide. You'll find if some of the POTS that you may get quoted by other carriers that you'll get back and it's a rebill. I likely have that agreement. I don't have all of them because we can't all have all of them, but some CLECs have stayed away from because they're either too difficult to deal with or they didn't have enough business in that market to warrant going ahead and signing that interconnect agreement. We've been doing this long enough, we have every one. And just to talk a little bit more about consolidation and why we're so good at it is, I think, or why the industry, I think, thinks that we're so good with it, is that there's a lot of people out there that are doing this now. Okay. And I'll name some of the companies that are doing it, but I won't necessarily say how we're involved with them. Obviously, Verizon is consolidating at this point. Comcast is consolidating at this point. AT&T is consolidating at this point for OOBM lines, for out-of-band management on MPLS networks. Verizon is consolidating both POTS and cable co-circuits when it gets off their network. Other well-known ISPs that we have relationships with, and I'm sure you have relationships, are using us outside of typically the top 5 or 6 cable cos. The Comcast, all these other 120 cable cos that we have, they're doing the same thing. They're just not doing it with them. They're doing it with me, and I'm doing it for them. So they don't have to go out and sign 120 agreements. And there's a bunch of them that do it through me. So just a little bit of credibility from the standpoint of, you can imagine the vetting process that we would be put through billion-dollar-plus companies. Lowest cost fully managed solution in the industry, just to give you an idea, a Fortinet 50E deployed with full platinum monitoring, the lease on the line, all of the maintenance, all the VPNing, all the IPsecing, everything soup to nuts is going to run a customer before any circuits or anything like under $100 a month. And the rest I've already covered. And then here's another example. This is a recent sale that one of my partners did. We did the primary and the failover broadband. We led with cable. Where cable fell out and significant construction ensued, we went to Fios or UVerse or a T1 or another solution. Then we failed it over. Typically the failover was to either UVerse, Fios, or DSL. Last resort, sometimes a T1, and very last 3G, 4G. Included a Fortinet 50E, 6 hosted Mitel 5320 seats, or 6 hosted seats with 5320 Mitel handsets, all the platinum monitoring, the SolarWinds license, on-site pro install, no install fees for anything, any of the circuits, any of the on-site turning up, moving them from TDM to SIP, all of that, all included on a 3-year term. The MRC average across those 480 locations was $450. Yeah. $450. And how that stacks up with you, I'm not sure, but I know there were 6 carriers involved in that bid, and I was $120 below the next closest carrier. This is an actual account. It's Trinity Broadcasting Network. I happen to have their express permission to be able to show their account. Otherwise, I would not, just in case anybody's wondering. This is a live account that pretty much has everything on us. When we got there, they had an MPLS network. We ripped it out. Put internet over anything. Mix of broadband, fiber, everything and everything everywhere. And we deployed all the gear, buttoned all the network down, back to a VPN, similar to the way they had it set up as an MPLS. We switched out all their analog to hosted. We have everything from, as I said, cable co and DSL at each location to big fiber point-to-points between some of their broadcasting locations and their studios. So that if they have an issue with an uplink, they have another way out through our fiber. We have, let's see, all of the gear, all the managed services, everything is, pretty much everything that was not under contract is now on us, and everything that is in contract is moving to us as it comes off contract. This is a company that wanted a single body to hug model. They were tired of writing 50 checks for Telecom. They were tired of having to call 50 people. They didn't have a big support group back at corporate, so they really needed somebody to come in and just take it over, and that's what we did. So that'll get to about, by the time it's done, about $100K a month biller. Not that many locations. So what a lot of customers really like about this is we try to empower them. They have to have the right authorization to do this, but for instance, here's a hierarchy page where I can, if I don't like the name or the GL code of my location, I can just change it on the fly as a customer. I don't have to wait for billing, I don't have to wait till another billing cycle. I can just do it and then rerun a report, and it should have corrected itself with all of the new information they want in there. A different address, they want a different naming nomenclature, alphanumeric nomenclature, doesn't really matter. How many digits, it doesn't really matter either. And then they want to go one step further. Well, I'd like to be able to manage my parent-child relationships, okay, so that I can physically move a location. Looks like we don't have the best interconnection here. But for instance, right here, okay, I want to child this account underneath this one. There's no limitation to our grandparent, or great-grandparent, grandparent, parent, and individual location accounts. You can ACH through us or credit card bill through us, down to the location level, but still under one multi-location account. But you have a company that has 7 different divisions, and they want to write each one of those checks out of each one of those separate 7 individual divisions, and they don't want to set up 7 accounts. We can accommodate that. I'm just going to show you some things that I think are worth pointing out. All right, so this is, we do a lot of this with dashboards, as you see. So this is the order dashboard. Do I have anything going on this month? Yes, I do. On the 5th, today is the 10th, but on the 5th and on the 8th, I had 2 events happening. I can scroll over it and find out what it is, get the PON numbers, and then if I want, I can come down here, and I can go right over here, and I can find out who owns that order. As I mentioned before, if you weren't a Spotlight account or you wanted some more information about it, you can find out and drill down exactly into what's going on with that order as well. Spotlight start at $10,000 a month in MRC. If we're taking on an account that we've signed and we know it's going to get there within 60, 90 days, because it's a sort of a slow rollout, we'll go ahead and sign them Spotlight. So. And that's another thing that we do a lot of. A lot of customers that we do business with, we've basically signed everything up at the beginning. We give them a schedule. They know every location, what it's going to cost, how much it's going to bill, and then that will go into a project management worksheet that may last 6 months or a year to the rollout, if that's what they want. But we try to get ink as much as we can to put some glue on the customer, obviously, for all our benefits. Okay, so this is another area that we're very proud of. This is our ticketing system. What's most important about our ticketing system is it's transparent. Okay, our customer care, our notes, our discussions with customers, everything that we talk about between our NOC, between ourselves, between the customer, amongst ourselves. There's no secret safe hidden behind the SpectraTel portal where just the SpectraTel people talk to each other, all right, so that the customer can't see what's going on. Everything that we're talking about is fully disclosed for the customer to see. So if we say we did something, you got to be able to get in the portal, be able to pull up that account, pull up that location, drill down into the ticket, and see it right there in black and white. Well, they said they did. Yeah, they did. Or no, they didn't. Hey, SpectraTel, why did you say you escalated that and it's not in the portal? Well, we'd have to answer for that. So we're all about transparency. We're all about disclosing as much information to the customer as we possibly can, so that if we're making a mistake, we can be called out on it and correct it. We don't try to hide anything at SpectraTel. If it's bad news, it's bad news. It's not a perfect industry. We make mistakes. Everybody does. Anybody who says that they don't, I'd be wary. So, but what's going to happen when you make a mistake? What are you going to do about it? How hard are you going to jump on it? How much pressure are you going to put on it to get it right, to get it fixed? That's what I think separates us. On the services side, this is, as you can see, you've got, and by the way, this is the parent, and of course you've got all your child accounts here. You can search by just product type. Just show me my Ethernet over copper circuits. Just show me my POTS, listed a little bit below. Just show me if I want to use the pull down and I want to search for a location this way, I can do that. If I want to search for a BTN, I can do that. I don't see too many people searching by hunt group, but or if I just want to search by carrier, just show me my AT&T North locations, because I can't remember exactly where it was, but I remember it was in AT&T territory. Or I have a search term. I just want to put in, I want to look for Nebraska, or I want to look for AT&T, or I want to look for Verizon, or I want to look for a street name, or I want to look for the first 3 digits of an NPNXX. The search feature goes as deep as the account goes. So you're never going to get lost. All you have to do is know something about the location, a zip code, a carrier, if you have 1,000 in here and you don't want to sit there and scroll through them, put something in there that recognizes you to that that you recognize from that location, and it's going to pull it up for you, or at least pull up the ones that are only associated with that. And so the point behind this is there's a lot of portals out there. A lot of them are good, okay? We think ours is the best, but really what we think separates ours is, first, the transparency of the information that we put in there and the accuracy of it, because it is tied into our OSS systems. We're not sitting around at the end of the day going, okay, Mr. Customer, well, tomorrow it will be updated because we will have updated the platform or the portal, and then that information will be accurate. No, it's in our provisioning systems, it's in our ticketing systems, it's in this system automatically. And so between that and the fact that you can drill down into all of the information as easily as you possibly can think about anything that might be associated with that location, it's very user-friendly and very intuitive. It's not going to get you lost. So often you get a portal presentation, customer sees it, they never actually get on and use it, because the first time they do, they got completely lost. Maybe they got to retrain, or they have it, maybe it's a train-the-trainer and he hasn't retrained them yet. But it's one of those presentations that, or one of those products or portals that once you do it, the customer is really going to be able to self-maintain and self-train themselves if they need to. I'm always available to do it. I do them all the time. I love to do portal presentations, especially pre-sale. I close 72%, or my partners close 72% of the accounts they set up a portal presentation for me to do for their customer. 72% across all my customers. And then you've got the report sections. You can get every report from a simple line billing inventory to an account summary inventory to a line bill inventory. All of the usage statistics and so forth that you would want to see on a normal report are all available. And if there's a custom report that you want, we typically don't have to create them because we spit out so much information. Most accounting departments and IT departments can manipulate our data pretty well in a spreadsheet or a CSV file. But if you need it, we'll create that report and then we'll land it here every month so they can just go pick it up. So they don't even have to go look for it. They don't have to ask us for it. Just every month, that customized report with this GL code in this field where they want it, this address broken out this way in that field will be laid out exactly so they don't have to manipulate the data themselves. Again, all we're doing, typically our whole mission in life is to reduce costs, both in their hard dollar spend and in the amount of gas and resources that they need to burn internally and that you need to burn internally to help manage your accounts. That's all we're trying to do, is make your jobs easier and make their jobs easier, because once their service comes in here, like that TBN account, we have everything, that account will be there 15 years from now. It's a very sticky product. Once they get used to that portal, once they get used to the touch that we provide, they're not leaving. So customer, what do they typically want to know? Why am I paying that for that line? Well, what are those charges? Well, each one of those charges is individually broken down, including their, federal fees, junk fees, whatever you want to call it. The PIC and LPIC information, what type of product it's on, what day it was activated, and so forth. And that also can be done in their export reports. So they get their entire network exported. They'll know how much the charges are, when that service was turned up, if there's a term on it, when does it end, and so on and so on. What a paper bill looks like. So we try to make our paper bills just as user-friendly as everything else that we do. So the first thing that you come across when you see a SpectraTel bill is the summary report, which is just the summary charges of each location in total. And then when you start to drill down into each location, it tells you what the individual charges by product or service are. But essentially, when you export a file, it'll show you line by line. Like for instance, some Some lines may have 10 lines of the same number, but it's designed that way so you can do whatever you want with the information. You want to separate the surcharges. You want to separate the base fees. You want to separate the usage, things like that. So if you do a full-blown inventory on a billing export on a 1,000-line POTS line account, it's probably going to have 6,000 to 8,000 fields of information, because it's going to tell you what the base charge was, what the feature charge is, what the usage is, what the surcharges are, and so forth. And then, and of course, you can manipulate the data any which way you want. Trust me, as I said, it will give you every detail of every line item, from every piece of gear to every local line to every PRI to every piece of fiber and so forth, and all the various surcharges associated with those, all broken down so that you can GL code those and manipulate those in any which way that you want. We haven't found a single customer yet that actually required. We did it for a couple because, you know, we were just playing nice, but we haven't found any that we couldn't provide them in our standard reports enough information where they couldn't manipulate it. A couple accounting departments, sometimes they beg and plead and say, hey, could you please do that? So we're kind of deaf, dumb, and blind. We just want to get in and pull the report and not have to worry about it, not have to touch it. We'll do it for them. And then once it's set up, it's just going to be there every month.
So every customer, no matter of size, gets this portal?
Yes. They pay, every customer that you sign up with SpectraTel is going to pay a $7.42 fee for this portal and a paper bill. You can reduce it to like $3-something a month by selecting email only bill or no paper bill. But whether you have 10,000 lines or whether you have a single POTS line, you're going to pay that $7.42 per account, one time, or MRC.
Do you have any minimum MRCs?
No. No minimums, no. Any other questions? Well, listen, thank you so much for everybody's time. We appreciate the opportunity to present to you. We think you find if you give us a shot, send us a quote. We're pretty responsive. I'm not as fast as the last presenter. I can't get it back typically in an hour unless it's a simple POTS quote or a cable co quote. I can do those myself, and I can get them done pretty quick for you as long as I'm not traveling. I can also get you things like, and I think you guys may have some of this already, we have a standard pricing sheet for all the primary cable cos. We have one for all of the secondary, the smaller tier cable cos. Doesn't have every one of them in those, but it probably has about 50 or 60 of them in that file. So whether it's, Hilton Head, Cable Cooperative, or this one or some of the other, Pentel Data, all of those are all available in the smaller cable code sheet, and they're all standardized as well. So as I said before, if you're selling a single location cable co, okay, you want to check with the TCG team to see if that's something that you should be running through us, because sometimes from a price perspective on the larger ones, you're going to get the comp you would normally get from us, like a 15% MRC, but then also you're going to get that rate that local cable sales rep would be walking in there and selling. I can't give you that rate because I need to make money and I also need to pay you. So in that case, we're probably marked up 10%. It's about the average on a multi-location. But I haven't found a customer yet with 50 or 100 or 1,000 or 5,000 locations that hasn't said, I don't care. I don't need the, if you sell it right in the beginning and you walk in there and you talk about the total value proposition, you're never going to get pushback at when it comes to the final proposal where they say, well, this branch can buy that circuit for $10 less. Yes, and it's going to cost you $30 a month to lick that stamp, to write that check, to make that extra call, to sit on hold, rather than send it to SpectraTel and let them worry about your headaches. And that's what we do. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, everyone.